Welcome back to the Titanium Hanger. This is Mike. I'm coming at you with another video. This time I want to talk to you about the Final Victory 3 figures that come in a box set for like, 110, 130 bucks. And I'm going to tell you that they're good. They're not great. But as of right now, 2 of these are the best that you'd have on a Masterpiece shelf. And the question is, are these Masterpiece size? Are they Masterpiece scaled? Are they Masterpiece quality? Yes, maybe. So let's get right into it, and we're going to start with the box. So first, I've seen a little bit about this, but most people just talk about the early releases because that's what's been getting sent out. This is the actual retail release, so this is what you would be getting if you ordered it. So looking into this, pretty cool looking box. It is straight up, it lets you know there's 3 figures in here. It was pretty good size, actually. Oddly enough, it came unsealed, like there wasn't any tape sealing or anything, so I thought that was a bit odd. And then, it's getting to the question of who is this company. But they actually call War Machine, Hummer, and Reckless Combat. Interesting made-up names for them, but let's look at the foam that it's packed in. And that's kind of a weird thing. This is the same type of foam, same type of packaging Zeta uses. Same type of packaging and foam that Magic Square used for their Magic Square Prime. Makes me wonder what company this really is, because heck, all the similarities and stuff in here, that's pretty interesting. Looking at the booklet, it actually folds out. So you basically have the cover on the booklet, and this folds out. You can see the transformation of War Machine. You can see the transformation of Hummer, and you can see the transformation of Reckless Combat. Huffer. Huh. Now, I always wondered on these third-party things that they're designed in Japan, manufactured in China usually, and then the instructions are almost predominantly in English. And I wonder if that's just because is the U.S. the biggest target market for these particular items? I don't know. If you know, leave it in the comments for me. So we've got a card for Brawn, and it's pretty heavy cardstock. Warpath's card. He's number 1. The Huffer card. So I want to start out by looking at these as a whole, and then I'm going to go into individual, but they do share a lot of things. Their hands, all their hands look to be the exact same hand, molded the exact same way. It's just like no difference between the hands. It's hard to get that on camera, but it's like the same hand. No articulation whatsoever in the hands. So they share quite a bit with each other. And then they all have die-cast metal in them. Die-cast, and then they get shipped with this piece of plastic, which I like because they're painted. There's some of them painted, and it's a pretty nice finish where it is applied. It looks pretty good, and so I think Brawn has the best looking paint job, and followed really close behind by Warpath there. Now, I'm not 100% sure I got the guns right. They don't quite match the color of what the box instructions show, but I know these are. Here's a couple more pieces that I know that go to Brawn, and we'll get into the coloring of those here in a little bit. All right, here's how they scale with an Optimus Prime. I think that fits the bill of what we've been getting. And then let's add in a couple others so we can kind of see what they look like as a team. Here we go with a standard Carbat in the mix with Wheeljack. Let's throw in a few more of their minibot friends, and makes for a pretty nice looking shelf. They fit in very well. So I do think that this set was something that excited me because I avoided minibots for a long time. The reason I avoided the minibots for a long time is because I was really thinking that I was going to just get by on the cheap side and put in the Titan Return Legends as my minibots, because I just didn't realize, the major size difference. And I'm going to get into each individually in comparisons, but for an overall thought process here. So since I avoided them, look how small this is compared to all these other guys. And because I've avoided them, that's kind of my problem. I didn't get them when they were first released. So last year I decided, hey, I'm going to go ahead and go after these mini-bots because the Legends really aren't fitting the bill on a Masterpiece shelf. And if you miss the initial run, you're paying double, triple, quadruple for these mini bots. And so I was excited to see some new ones enter the market when I'm actually after them, and I jumped on them. And for the better price than any mini bots that I've seen come out on the market. So let's start with Warpath here. The good, the bad, the ugly, and all that stuff. So I think this is his gun. It actually showed it as that gray-ish color. It's a little bit hollow on one side, but the other side looks pretty decent. I think this is a good-looking figure, and this is, in my opinion, the best-looking Warpath that's out right now. He could do a little bit more for the durability factor on this guy. I don't like this down here. When he has the ankle tilt, that just goes way off. I tried to pull these off, see if they had a weak tab and they can just slide off pretty easy, because I think that would have looked okay without those, and I just throw them in the box or something. But no, they don't come off easy, and I don't want to break it. The other thing is, I'm not a big fan of the way you got kibble on the arm like that. So with the transformation, you can move it back like this, and from the front, have it a much cleaner look on the forearms. Knowing it's still back there, it's still back there, but it's not that bad. And then it does allow, and I have to figure out how to get this thing out of here, because it's the barrel out of there. But the barrel goes all the way in, which gives for yet even cleaner look. But I know that cartoon actually it's out quite a bit on that guy. So looking at the head articulation, left and right, a little bit up and down, but that's actually the up comes from, sorry about that, the up comes from the transformation part. Arms don't go out very much. There's not like a whole huge degree, but enough for me actually. I could get some poses. I can get some poses with that. I can do a lot. You've got, I could have sworn you had some sort of an ab swivel in there, but I'm not seeing it working for me. There it is. It's tight. You got to lift this flap out of the way though, which is kind of a pain. But it's you don't really see the flap that much. Now, he's not the most stable figure either. So, I mean, I'm showing you some downsides. Even though I think he's the best on the market, he's still got some downsides. His posability is not that great. And, of course, everyone knows Fan Toys is going to blow it out of the water when theirs comes in, what, 3 or 4 years? But this dude is looking pretty good. Let's look at the back of him. So you do have the flap that's on there. I don't like these, but what else you can do with them? Like, unless you mount them to the back of the shoulder, which I would have rather had, to tell you the truth. So here he is next to Bad Cube's War Dog, and Bad Cube's War Dog suffers the same arm kibble, but has more kibble. So you can see that this one is much cleaner, a much better looking, less fat, less stocky kind of a figure. Bad Cube's War Dog is still a cool looking figure in its own right, but not as G1 cartoon as this guy. So yeah, it's gonna go to War Machine on that one. Now, if you're a fan of the Classics line, they had a Warpath come out in the Classics line that looks pretty good. This one's a little bit bigger than that one, and it doesn't look quite as clean. There's all kinds of line work. I mean, if you like the line work, but I always thought this would be a great stand-in on your MP shelf, size-wise, for a minibot. I just really didn't think a minibot should be quite as big as him if you're going to put minibots together. But then again, if you're just going to step back and say, how big should a tank be? A tank should be every bit as big as that guy. And there he is with G1. Let's move on to the next guy. All right, so next one is the Final Victory FV-02, the Hummer. And I got to say that there is some weight behind this guy. There's weight behind all of these. But I do have to say the negatives up front, the backpack, well, I got it tabbed in pretty good now. But all this yellow piece here, this back piece would come untabbed. I've had to tab them back in a few times to keep them in place. And the legs just don't feel like they work right for me. I don't know how to explain it, but after fiddling with it for a while, you can get a nice pose, which is really all I need out of him, to put him on a shelf for a pose. And he's not, I mean, like I said it with the other one, Fan Toys is going to blow this out of the water, but what we have here now for a great price is a great option. And the best looking one out, you'll see, judge for yourself when I do some comparisons. So anyway, the other thing is, big glaring problem is the color of the plastics. And it looks to be unpainted. I can't tell though. It might even be painted that color. But in first thought is that's unpainted. But you look in here and you see that there's silver. I don't know if you can pick that up. But right here, behind the hand, like the wrist, it's silver. It's metal. It's a metal piece. I can't get that on camera. It's a metal piece all behind the hand there. So it makes me wonder, is this really painted? And they specifically chose that color. I went back and rewatched the cartoon, and that color is actually 100% cartoon accurate. I mean, it's... How do you argue with that? I would have liked a little more real-world color to it. I would have liked the color of the knees to match the forearms, hands, and the head. But they didn't do that because it wasn't cartoon accurate. And I don't know how I feel about that. But anyway, I still think this is the best looking one. And we're going to get into a couple other reviews and comparisons with this guy real quick. Now here's the bad cube. And if you look at the bad cube, this dude looks like he is way off. And I remember I had to search hard and long to find this guy because when he was sold out, nobody wanted to let go of this guy. Nobody. And now the people are going to be dumping him to get this guy. I guarantee you. This is... Bad Cubes is a decent figure. There's more weight to him. I don't know if I should bust a scale out for you guys on that one. There's less kibble on the other one. The Final Victory is just a clear winner here. And the other competitors just get worse from here. Here's iGear's offering. I don't even know if iGear is around anymore, but this thing is just way too small to be considered a masterpiece, in my opinion. Or maybe a little too small, but that looks so much better. That looks more like Brawn than this guy or this guy. So, Final Victory's still winning. Here goes the Titan Returns one, which I think Titan Returns is good. But if he can't be on a masterpiece shelf anywhere near it. And then it wouldn't be fun if you didn't have G1. This is the G1 comparison. Let's move him over here a little bit so you can see how it looks together. But I think that Final Victory, this is still a win. This is what the main one I was looking forward to get. He's got a couple of flaws, but I still think he's the best on the market right now. All right, FV-03, Reckless Combat. This is a Huffer, and he has die-cast. That is die-cast right there. His paint looks good. His arms look like the right color, I guess you could say. I mean, all the other competitors chromed them out, and the chrome arms, I mean, I'm all about that. It's got to look really good with a sticker on them, which I'll be doing later before I put them on my shelf for display. So, actually, this is a pretty solid figure. The only problem I've got is just the way he comes together with opposability. Legs, I mean, you got some great articulation in the legs. You've got all the articulation you're going to need in the arms. The torso was pretty free to spin. Double dual wielding guns. Really kind of challenging. You're going to have a tool to get his hands out. If you're gonna transform him, getting his hands out the way they do that, you're going to have a tool to get his hands out. They just go all the way up in there, which is kind of weird. But this is as a Huffer. He looks good. I like him. So let's bring in the first Huffer comparison or competitor. Here he is next to Cubex, which is Bad Cube's first company name. And Cubex is a pretty good looking toy. But this guy I think still wins, even with the wheels. Now the main thing I don't like is the wheels being shown. They don't hide them away. But even with that, I think this is a better looking option than what we got going on over here. But it's really close. It's really close with those guys. Now let's look at X-Transbots. Now this is an early X-Transbots design. And he looks all glimmery and like all the things I like about X-Transbots. But his wheels are still there. I don't like that. But if you look at these guys, you just would say aesthetically, this guy's winning still. And I heard a rumor that X-Transbots made these, but I still don't know who made them. I've heard so many rumors who made the Final Victory, but I don't really know. Next, we got the Bad Cube offering here, which is an extremely solid figure. And then in comparison, hides the wheels away better. And so I would say the Bad Cube Huff, which is just an upgraded version of the Cubex Huff, is the best one on the market right now. But if you look at them though, aesthetically they're very similar. And this one actually is a little bit bigger, and I feel like bigger's better, and I always win with that. That's kind of why I like this guy. Just think they scale well together, and I just like bigger better, even in the mini-bots. Here's an abomination of a Hasbro Huffer, which is just basically a repaint and a new face on an old Optimus Prime mold, so definitely would never work. And we have G1. So, which one of these do you think you'll be getting? Let me know. We'll do... I'm doing 30 videos in 30 days. I'm just trying to get a lot of this stuff taken care of and done, and getting some stuff in. I've got more videos down the road, several discussion videos coming up. Titanium Hanger, out.